How would you feel if someone constantly criticized you for your mistakes? If they called you a failure, incapable, useless? The strange thing is that many times, the one who speaks to us this way is not someone else, but ourselves. Self-criticism is harsh and relentless. It holds us back, fills us with doubt, and weakens us. But there is another option: self-compassion. Kristin Neff describes self-compassion as the ability to show ourselves the same kindness, understanding, and support that we would offer to a good friend. It doesn't mean ignoring our mistakes or not striving for improvement, but rather stopping the habit of seeing failure as a disaster. Think about this. If a friend made a mistake, would you tell them they are useless and will never succeed? Or would you reassure them, help them learn from it, and encourage them to move forward? Self-compassion works the same way. It allows us to acknowledge our weaknesses without condemning ourselves. It helps us be patient with ourselves when things don't go as planned. Many people confuse self-compassion with weakness or laziness. They believe that if we are too kind to ourselves, we will lose the motivation to improve. But the reality is quite the opposite. When we support ourselves instead of punishing ourselves, we develop greater resilience and learn to move on more quickly after failure. Studies show that people who practice self-compassion are more mentally resilient, more creative, and more optimistic. They are also more willing to take risks because they are not as afraid of failure. Self-compassion is not a luxury. It's a way to live with more peace and confidence. And the best part, it's something you can start right now. Instead of judging yourself, support yourself. Instead of punishing yourself for a mistake, learn from it and move forward. This is the first step to a more balanced life. If you wanted to change your life for the better, what would be the first thing you'd do? Would you start with more discipline, more effort, or maybe with more kindness towards yourself? Kristin Neff explains that self-compassion consists of 3 key elements. If we apply them, we can reduce stress, improve our mental resilience, and become stronger in the face of challenges. 1. Self-kindness. Most of us have been taught to be hard on ourselves. We say things like, "I wasn't good enough," or "I should have tried harder." But the truth is, harsh self-criticism doesn't make us better. On the contrary, it weakens us. Self-kindness means treating ourselves with love, even when we fail. It means speaking to ourselves the way we would speak to a friend who is struggling. 2. Recognizing the common human experience. When we make a mistake or feel inadequate, we tend to believe we're alone in it. But the truth is, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has insecurities. This means that failure is not a personal defeat. It's part of the human experience. When we understand this, we start to feel less shame and more connection with others. 3. Mindfulness. The third element is mindfulness, the ability to recognize our emotions without suppressing them or exaggerating them. When we go through a difficult moment, instead of ignoring our feelings or letting negative thoughts take over, we can say, "What I'm feeling right now is tough, but it's okay, it's normal." Mindfulness allows us to see things more clearly, without panic or unnecessary dramatization. When we combine these 3 elements, self-kindness, recognizing our shared human experience, and mindfulness, we can cultivate self-compassion in a balanced and meaningful way. Instead of fighting against ourselves, we can support ourselves. Instead of feeling alone in our struggles, we can understand that we all go through similar experiences. And instead of letting our emotions control us, we can observe them with calmness. This is the path to a more peaceful and balanced life. And the best part? That path begins with you. Why am I always so hard on myself? This thought often crosses our minds, but we rarely pay attention to it. We've been taught to believe that harsh self-criticism is necessary for success, that if we don't push ourselves hard enough, we will fail. But this is a lie that holds us back. Many people live with an inner critic who is never satisfied. You weren't good enough. You could have done more. You don't deserve it. It's a harsh and relentless voice that fills us with anxiety, doubt, and fear. But let's imagine for a moment that this inner critic is not a part of us. Let's see it as a stranger who follows us around all day, constantly telling us how inadequate we are. Would we let someone talk to us like that? Of course not. And yet, we accept this voice every single day without resistance. The truth is, this constant self-criticism doesn't make us better. On the contrary, it paralyzes us. It makes us so afraid of failure that we avoid trying new things altogether. And here's the paradox. People who show compassion toward themselves are actually more successful, not because they don't try, but because they don't let fear stop them. When they fail, they don't waste time blaming themselves. They learn, adapt, and keep going. Self-compassion helps us grow because it gives us the security to try again. It frees us from the need to be perfect. And you know what? No one is perfect. Learning to silence the inner critic is one of the most important skills we can develop. And the first step is awareness. The next time you hear that harsh voice inside your head, take a step back. Ask yourself, would I ever speak to a friend like this? If the answer is no, then it's time to change the way you talk to yourself. But how do you do that? How can you stop a way of thinking that you've been used to for years? The first step is understanding that success doesn't come from self-punishment, but from self-support. When we uplift ourselves instead of harshly criticizing, we build mental resilience. Think about this. Who are the people who truly succeed? Are they the ones who live in fear of failure? Or are they the ones who accept failure as part of the process and keep moving forward? Research shows that self-compassion doesn't make us passive. On the contrary, it gives us the strength to move forward. When we fail, self-compassion helps us get back up faster, learn from our mistakes, and improve. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," we can say, "This didn't go as planned, but I can try again." Instead of fearing others' criticism, we can focus on our own progress. Success is not a straight road. It is full of failures, obstacles, and challenges. But the difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck is not the absence of mistakes. It's their attitude toward those mistakes. Self-compassion doesn't mean making excuses for yourself. It means giving yourself the space to learn and grow without constant self-punishment. And this is something you can start today. The way we talk to ourselves shapes the way we live. If we treat ourselves like an enemy, we will constantly live in tension, fear, and self-doubt. But if we learn to show ourselves kindness, we can create a life filled with more peace and confidence. Everything starts with our attitude toward failure. If we see failure as proof that we are not good enough, we will avoid challenges and fear trying. But if we see it as an opportunity to learn, every failure becomes a stepping stone toward growth. Instead of waiting for others to recognize us, we can learn to recognize ourselves. We can stop constantly comparing and realize that our worth doesn't depend on being perfect. It depends on being real. Self-compassion doesn't mean we stop trying. It means we try without the fear of failure. It means we get back up faster when we fall. It means we live with more confidence and less guilt. If you made it this far, thank you so much. It would mean a lot to us if you gave this video a like and shared it with someone who might find it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until next time, be kind to yourself.